Well, U.S. allies agreed to send more weapons to Ukraine, and the Biden administration just announced new restrictions against 3 Russian airlines that may bring some of their operations to a halt. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Tracy, good evening to you. Tonight it's being called an unprecedented action. The U.S. is cutting off its exports to those 3 Russian airlines that you mentioned. In short, they will not get parts from the U.S. to service their aircraft, making it very difficult to fly.
The U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary makes clear the Russian war machine must be stopped.
By going after their aerospace industry, their marine industries, and other industries that are critical to fighting the war in Ukraine, because ultimately our goal is to stop the invasion in Ukraine, and we're going to use sanctions, export controls.
Destruction from the war in Ukraine continues to mount. In Borodyanka, emergency crews look for possible survivors under rubble left after Russian troops attacked. And 6 weeks in, no sign of Russia leaving anytime soon. In the White House press briefing room, Press Secretary Jen Psaki updated reporters.
We have committed to providing $1.7 billion of weapons, of security assistance to Ukraine since the beginning of this conflict.
Overseas in Belgium, U.S. Secretary of State Antony and Blinken met with NATO foreign ministers. The group agreed to provide even more weapons to Ukraine to defend against Russia's invasion.
We don't see a Russian retreat. What we see is a Russian regrouping and repositioning of their forces.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg also called out China for refusing to condemn Russia's aggression and says Russia's war crimes will be investigated.
All those responsible for these atrocities must be brought to justice, and allies are supporting efforts for an international investigation.
Also, the United Nations General Assembly just voted to suspend Russia from the Human Rights Council due to its war crimes in Ukraine.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has tested positive for coronavirus. Now, the White House says President Biden, despite recent brief interactions with the Speaker, is not considered a close contact. He tested negative for the virus last night. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.